Welcome to our webinar. It is 6:30. We're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Jordan Walker. I'm an attorney with Seaver Walker Padgett Law Firm. And we are here to talk about the Bay Runner pipeline and what it means for landowners affected by it. Again, who we are, Seaver Walker Padgett is an eminent domain only landowner only law firm. This is the only area of law that we practice. We are not with the Bay Runner pipeline. We are not with any pipeline. We have never represented a pipeline, power line, government, any entity that can take land. We have only assisted landowners in their fight against those entities. Because we've done this across the country, and because we've done this so much, we've learned quite a bit. And today, our job is to relay what we've learned to you, the landowner, so that you're prepared when Bay Runner shows up and starts talking about acquiring your land. So just briefly on the project, this is a intrastate that is only in Texas, natural gas pipeline. It's 145 miles in total, starting from Agua Dulce to Brownsville. It's a 42-inch pipeline diameter, 42-inch diameter pipeline, and it's being run by Whitewater Midstream. 42 inches for purposes of pipelines is a pretty big pipeline. They can range from as small as 6 to 8 inches up to 42 and above. So this is a significant pipeline, which will come with a significant acquisition too on your property. And now I want to talk about the eminent domain process in Texas. And the reason why I'm talking about eminent domain with a pipeline is that pipelines in Texas have eminent domain authority. So even though they're not the government, even though this isn't the state of Texas or TxDOT acquiring your land or trying to, they do have the ability to acquire land through eminent domain. So you need to understand what that practice or what that procedure entails. Before they can even file their eminent domain lawsuit and acquire their land through eminent domain, in the state of Texas, they have to meet certain pre-condemnation requirements. The first thing they have to do is issue an offer, usually referred to as an initial offer, an offer of compensation. And then on day 24, and this is as quickly as the process can move. It isn't; these are minimum time requirements that need to pass before condemnation can be filed. So, for example, if the offer is issued on day 1, as soon as day 24 or 7 days prior to the final offer, the condemner must provide the landowner bill of rights. The landowner bill of rights is as you might imagine, a series of rights that belong to Texas landowners that are faced with condemnation. And these are rights that need to be presented to the landowner. They are put in place to protect the landowner, to provide a more transparent process, condemnation process. And the pipeline is going to have to provide these to you before, at least 7 days before issuing a final offer. So on day 31, at least 30 days after the initial offer, the pipeline can provide what's called a written final offer. And part of that written final offer must include the appraisal report. The offer must be equal or greater than the number on the appraisal report. They must supply a copy of the conveying document. In this case, it's very likely going to be an easement. They need to provide a plat map of the acquisition, and it must be in writing. As a note, our firm generally gets involved as soon as the offers are issued. So if you have an offer on hand right now, you are ready to hire an attorney, and we'd be happy to review that offer for free. And then finally, assuming a deal can't be struck in the pre-condemnation time frame, eventually the pipeline is going to have to file their eminent domain lawsuit to get the property. So at least 15 days after the final offer, or on day 46, 45 days after the initial offer, the pipeline can file their condemnation petition. At that point, or shortly thereafter, a board of commissioners is appointed by the judge who is overseeing the case. And those board of commissioners must live in the county where the property is located. On day 90 to 20, or at least 20 days after the board of commissioners have been appointed, plus another 10 days to strike potential board of commissioners, there will be a hearing with the board of commissioners. And the point of this hearing, the point of the board of commissioners in general, is to determine preliminary compensation that the landowner is owed. So, for example, if the pipeline feels you're entitled to $10,000, you disagree, you go to court, and the Board of Commissioners come out and they look at the property and they hear evidence and they decide that you're actually entitled to $50,000. Well, then if the pipeline wants to access the land for the project, they need to deposit that $50,000 with the court, and then they take title. If either party objects to this preliminary compensation amount, the case continues to a standard jury trial on final compensation. So, for example, if $50,000 is the verdict, but neither party disagrees with that amount of money, and neither party files an objection, then the case ends. If the landowner says, well, I think we're entitled to more, they may object to that amount, and the case proceeds to a jury trial over final just compensation. And of course, the pipeline can also file an objection as well. The eminent domain process in Texas is very compressed. It's an aggressive schedule relative to other states, and it requires landowners' attention because it is so truncated, and it moves very quickly, so landowners need to be on top of it. Let's talk about what they want from you, the landowner. The pipeline is going to want an easement from you. And an easement is essentially a deed, but you're not selling the entire ground, only the right to do what the easement says, where the easement says, and when the easement permits it. So one of the biggest questions we get is whether or not what the rights are of the landowner in the pipeline in the easement area. And my response to that is entirely dependent on what the easement says. If the easement allows the pipeline to do it, they will do it, and they can do it. If it doesn't allow them to do it, they can't do it, or they shouldn't do it. And if they do it, you might have an action against them for trespass because they'd be operating outside of their easement. The easement defines or should define the area of the acquisition. It should define the rights of both parties in that area, and it should define the length of that easement. It's important to note that it needs to be in that document, because what is verbally told to you is not always what the easement says. So any promises made to you that don't reflect themselves on the document, the easement document itself, will not. There's no requirement that the pipeline adhere to any of those promises made. So long and short of it, if you want something in that easement, you want to protect yourself, it's important as a landowner to get it implemented into the easement itself. As an eminent domain attorney, I've seen a lot of poorly drafted easements. Usually pipelines, utilities come to landowners with very broad easements and put the onus on the landowner to fight for a more limited document. So it's important for you as a landowner to not accept the first thing they come to you with, not accept the first document they propose to you, and to contact an attorney to get a second opinion on what that document says and what that document should say. Remember, and then my final note is that easements are forever. So if once you sign that permanent easement document, it's not going to go away. In all likelihood, it'll be on the title forever, which means your kids will inherit that easement, your grandkids will inherit that easement, or anyone who buys the property will take the property subject to that easement. So the first part of every case is the easement. The second part is money, compensation. And I've put together what I feel a complete compensation package should include. It should include a proper price per acre for the land to be acquired, and that includes any potential use of the property, such as development or commercial building or some other higher and better use than what it's currently being used at. It would include a proper payment for any crop, timber, land damages that may arise from the acquisition. You should have payment for soil or ground damages, or a very strong clause in the easement that requires or demands the pipeline to remediate any issues that are caused. If you have an agricultural property, there's a whole other set of issues that need to be addressed, including if there's field tile, irrigation, soil compaction, soil mixing, construction debris, flooding. All of these need to be considered for agricultural properties as well. And then beyond that, if there is any residual damage to the property, and residual damage refers to any damage that occurs to the property that's outside the easement area or applies to the property as a whole. And these can be caused by a number of things, mostly related to the stigma associated with pipelines, but also if a pipeline crosses development land, which prohibits development of other areas in that land, on that land parcel, you may be able to recover remainder damage to that land as well. And this is all in addition to whatever's been offered by the utility generally. And I am almost towards the end. So I will end with what to do, what not to do, and a little bit more about our firm, and we'll be wrapped up. This is what you should do when you receive an offer. As soon as you receive an offer, you should insist, or prior to, insist that the right-of-way agent communicate via email only. The reason why we advise this is because it's always good to have a record of the promises made by these folks and the statements they make. Verbal promises mean nothing. Verbal assurances mean less. If they're going to say something, ask them to put it in writing. And an easy way to do that is just keep communication via email only. If they want to make a promise, they can email it, they can put it in writing. Once you receive the offer, you inform the right-of-way agent, again, via email. Thank you. I will review this and get back to you in a week. And then in that interim week, contact an attorney for review. We provide free case reviews for landowners with offers. And then in that interim week, develop a plan, develop a strategy, and go from there. Ultimately, you are going to want to avoid in-person discussions and negotiations with right-of-way agents. What not to do when you receive an offer. Again, and we already kind of touched on this, don't just jump into negotiations or discuss value without first talking to an attorney. Don't enlist an appraiser. Do not meet in person with the right-of-way agent. Do not take right-of-way agent's promises at face value. Do not assume the utility has your interests at heart. This is an important one, and I think a salient one. You can keep that in the back of your mind during your negotiations. I don't think it's going to steer you wrong when dealing with these pipelines. And then finally, don't make a rush decision, but also don't ignore this altogether. We've seen folks do either, and it usually doesn't end up well. You should be a little thoughtful in your actions and maybe get some a second opinion from an attorney. A qualified attorney would be a good choice. And definitely give it some attention. Give it the attention it deserves, I should say that. And then finally, just a real quick about how our firm operates. If you're interested in hiring counsel, our firm works on a contingency fee basis. We only get paid if we get you more than what is offered by the pipeline. If you hire us and we don't get you any more money than what is offered, we do not get paid. A very easy example that I put up on the slide, if you have a $10,000 offer and you hire us and we get you $50,000 total, that'd be a $40,000 difference that we would collect a third of that 40 and you would get the rest, and it all comes out at the end. We do it this way because a lot of landowners don't want to come out of pocket to pay for attorneys. And beyond this, they might not have the money to do so. But also, we do it this way because I think it provides peace of mind to landowners who aren't sure what the attorney may be doing. But in these relationships, you can rest assured because we have the same goal, and which is to maximize your case, get as much as get what you're entitled to over and above what's offered, and make sure that you are satisfied with the acquisition as much as you can be. And with that being said, I will end this presentation. Next steps, as soon as you receive an offer, you should hire an attorney. Until then, begin thinking about hiring an attorney, who you're going to hire, maybe interview some folks. Identify your priorities and goals. What do you want to see out of this? What do you want to avoid? What are you concerned about? What are you worried about? So on and so forth. If you can get a group together, that can also be very beneficial to you individually and the group as a whole. The power of a group is immeasurable in these situations. And then finally, I will leave it with this. If you have offers, please feel free to go ahead and send it to my email address. You can also text it to my cell phone there, 470-869-1383. If you prefer to fax it, you can also fax it to 317-575-9943. Other than that, thank you for stopping by. We appreciate your attention. And if you have questions, don't hesitate to give me a call or shoot me your offer. I'd be happy to look at it for free. All right. Thank you so much and have a good night.